This past Friday, my father was put to rest. I am his third born son, and I did not attend his funeral. I had no animosity towards my father. I actually lived in a house with my father until I was about 9, almost 10. My parents actually split up a little bit before that, but my father would still, make his presence known while we were still in the city. But it came to a point where our relationship with my father was severed because we left the state. And I've talked about this on this channel before. And I was around 10 years old when that happened. So even before that, um, I didn't see my father on a consistent basis, even before we left Indiana. So when he was put to rest this past week, my mother sent me a link where I was to eulogize him in a way, to say some words about my father, for the service and everything. And if I'm being completely honest with you, I couldn't think of anything to say because I didn't know him. I didn't know him as a man, you know what I'm saying? And my memories are as a child are so far removed from who I am today that it doesn't even seem like a part of my reality. If that makes sense, right? My childhood seems like a separate part because there's so much trauma and drama in between when we left Indiana, when we lived in Wisconsin, on out to moving into the West. All of that happened between the time I was 10 years old up till I was 13. That's a lot of emotional damage, at least for me. And one of the things that I realized, at least for myself, that I did to myself, especially once we left the Midwest and came out west, was my attachment to people, or being attached to people. I tried to stray away from, even to this day. And I've talked about it on here, like, oh, I like to be alone because people hurt me, yada yada yada. That comes from you know, leaving the world behind. And as I've said in another video, the last time I saw my father, I knew that would be the last time I saw my father. The last time saw my father, I was 13 years old. We were moving out west to California, and we stopped at his house, um, you know, to say goodbye and come out west. And it was dope. He had ordered pizza. One of my older brothers, he went and got him, and it was amazing. But I knew even at that young of an age, but that would probably be my last time seeing him. And I never developed a relationship with him while he was alive, and that is a regret of mine. But I did not know him, and as I mourn, my mourning came from the fact that I didn't know him, or that I didn't pick up the phone to get to know him, or that we didn't bridge that gap while I was an adult for me to know him. So in his passing, that is what that is where the crux of my feelings come from, not the person who is gone, because I don't know the person who was gone. I don't know my father. I don't. I know who he is, of course. I don't know him as a man, right? Because I left him so young. And in leaving my father so young, there's a lot of arrested development that happened, in the process of me growing up. Y'all can say it's the toys and all that stuff. Me personally, I don't think I would ever outgrew toys, whether my father was there or not. But no, it goes deeper than that. It goes into some of the stuff. Um, like for instance, when I was a lot younger, I was more apt to quit something or to run away from something, as opposed to facing it head on like I am to now. That is a trait of mine that I had to develop through trials and tribulations, through the world beating my ass and making it so that I know that sometimes you can't run from something. Let's say there was a job I didn't like. I would just be like, you know what, I'm going to quit even before I found another job. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that these are things that would have automatically not been in me if my father was in my life, but I feel like that type of work ethic, especially if your father's active in your life, sticks to your bones a little bit better than you having to, okay, fuck these people, and having these emotional responses to things that you have to deal with. When you deal with people on a day-to-day basis, I don't care what it is. You could be CEO of a company making hundreds of thousands of dollars, or you can be a fry cook. When you're dealing with people, you're going to have to deal with people of various personalities, and it's not going to always be favorable, but you have to do it. It's something that you just have to do. And as a man, as you grow, you understand it. And when you have a father, especially when you're going through school, when you're going through certain things, you know what I'm saying? Your father is going to, be very opinionated, at the very least, about how you're moving and shaking. A mom is going to be a little bit more nurturing and accepting to some of the fuck shit that her children are doing, especially when her children are a lot, loving. You understand? So what I say arrested development, there are things that having two parents, that are actively in your life keep you out of. For instance, in my early 20s, I had a thieving streak after I deserted the military. You know what I'm saying? After I went on a run from military, which, I ain't gonna say my mom supported it, but she was, not, it wasn't no, you stay your ass there. It is what it is. But at the same time, I didn't have a relationship with my father. I don't even think my father knew I was going into the army or anything like that. So you have all of these things that I think about. Also, my relationship with women and how I maneuver with women, and having children young, and the responsibility that comes with having children young. And speaking on that, not to say that you shouldn't have children young. I still believe that if your families are right, your right mind and the girl's right mind, even though y'all are young, I still think it's best to start families younger because y'all can mold together, y'all can build together. But it's just the problem there is that two people, a man and a woman, and what I'm saying, young men and women need the guidance from the same sex parent to make sure that they're not punching holes in walls. You feel what I'm saying? Flipping tables, having these ridiculous arguments with baby mamas and shit that you just don't need to be going through, right? Somebody that is a stoic presence in your life that'll tell you that's not the way you want to move. You know what I'm saying? Some of those feelings you need to eat up because you acting on your feelings can land you in various spots. Acting on the feeling of love can end up, you having multiple baby mamas across the city. You being not being able to control your anger can end you up dead or in jail. You not knowing how to maneuver in this world can end, at least as a man with your emotions, can lead you fucked up. And that's why so many young men are fucked up out here, because they've never had male authority there to tell them, no, this is how you're going to maneuver. Now, like I say, in the first quarter, because I'm in my 40s now, of my life, I did have my father there. So they did bestow that I knew how to, for me and my brothers, we know how to follow directions, especially from a man. Especially, I would say my younger brother, because I know him. Just like with my older brothers, I don't know them as people. I know them. I don't know them. Does that make sense? I know my younger brother, at least to a certain degree. There's been even years apart from that. But it is very hard for me to feign like I know somebody simply because we're blood relatives. You understand what I'm saying? More than a third of my life, and I'm in my almost mid 40s now. More than a third of my life, I didn't know I had no relationship with my father. So when I go into my mind and say, okay, why are you not profoundly in despair? Why are you not profoundly sad? It's because you didn't really know him. You understand what I'm saying? Now, something where, let's say, my mother, with as much, as I've talked about her, something happened to her, I know my mother. I have a connection to my mother, right? For good, bad, or indifferent, I do. And if something were to happen to her, I would be devastated. If something happened to my father and I can't attend the funeral, I feel fucked up because I can't attend my father's funeral for financial reasons. I look at that as like a front to just everything. Like, really, if I'm being honest with you, but it is what it is. I can't afford to go to Indiana and then come back here and not be homeless. It just wouldn't have worked. I had to work these last couple of weeks, especially coming into this year, especially with the fact that, people are a little bit more, conservative with handing out gratuity with the way that they were doing. And I understand it's because of an economy. I have to look out for where I'm living before, even the dead is buried. And I don't know how to necessarily have relationships with my family members, like my brother, and I just don't know how to do a lot of that. And I know I'm trying to get to a point to where I can deal with people and I can be a person to people, especially if they need me, but it just don't seem like nobody needs me to be there. You understand what I'm saying? Especially if I'm not feeling what they're feeling. My brother probably had deeper relationship with my father than I do. And so he may be feeling a certain way. My brothers may be feeling a certain way about me not attending or me not reaching out or me, you get what I'm saying? But I don't know what to fucking say. You understand what I'm saying? I can't comfort you about a man I didn't know as an adult at all. I just can't. You understand what I'm saying? But like I say, it's important, especially for you to have the same sex parent in your life to guide you in ways, especially in the stumbling blocks that you may come across or not. Honestly, it's up to the kids, right? Because me at a certain point as an adult, I made the choice not to, I ain't gonna say not to, but just not the effort to be in my father's life. And I could say the same could be said for him. I have a phone too. And the same thing could go for me and my kids. With my youngest son, when his mother threw me out, he was the same age I was around the time my parents started to split. 8, 9, you know what I'm saying? You stop, you don't see him. And then from that point, you don't have a connection to him. So I can understand if my kids don't have a connection to me. I get it. I completely understand. It is profoundly sad. It is somewhat biblical. It seems like there's some type of curse, some type of generational curse there. There is some type of something that sits over me that I can't describe to y'all that makes me feel detached, like I say, from the human condition. And I don't know what that is. You understand what I'm saying? But it protects me. And I know that it comes from a past of a lot of fuck shit and seeing a lot of fuck shit in my life and going through a lot of fuck shit and being in poverty for so goddamn long. Its survival mechanism is go go go. You know what I'm saying? And not everybody's survival mechanism is go and rob this person or go and take this or go and put yourself on in this system. Some of our survival mechanism is just maintaining our feelings and keeping our distance so that we're not this emotional black hole that's dragging other people down with us, or this pretentious, oh, my daddy's dead but I don't know this person. I would even say my cousin that took care of him up until he passed away would know him more than I do. And even for the people, like, there was talk of, well, what if he left something and da da da, and people want to contest it. I'm not going to contest anything my father left. If they want it, they can have it. I'm not going to sit here and fucking, if he left whatever he left, his wife, if she wants everything, she can have that shit. I'm not a money person. I don't give a fuck about that. I just wish I would have had a relationship with that nigga. Honestly, I wish I would have known that nigga. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna be my video for Sunday. That's how I feel about everything, at least as pertaining to my father. I appreciate y'all's um, well wishes concerning that. I appreciate all of the comments and words of advice and encouragement involving that. But it's been on my mind. It's been on my mind heavy, honestly. And obviously, not just for him, but just for the lack of a relationship I have with my children. Sure, my father paid child support. Sure, I paid child support. But, you know, in my 40s, not having known who he was, I couldn't tell you what his favorite food was. I couldn't tell you what his favorite dish was. I couldn't tell you what his political affiliations was. I couldn't tell you what he thought about women. I can't tell you nothing about my father as an adult. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of that is partially my fault. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys have a fantastic week coming up. The weather's gonna be a little bit weird, especially out west out here. It's gonna be a little bit cold and rainy. I know, boo hoo. I know y'all got snow in other places, but we ain't used to that type of madness. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'll catch y'all next time. Bye bye.